you struggling on your frugal living journey? Are you looking for simple ways to make frugal living work for you? In this video, I'm going to give you 7 habits that will help you succeed in frugal living. And stick around to the very end because I have a quote that you do not want to miss. Welcome! I'm Amy, and here at Frugal Over 50, I give you tips and tools for frugal living, all personally tested by me. Now let's get right to these 7 habits. Habit number 1 is budgeting. I'm sure that if you have been around here for any length of time, you are aware that I love a good budget. In fact, I love it so much that I made a whole video about it, and I have a referral link to my favorite budgeting program called, interestingly enough, You Need a Budget. And I love everything about budgeting. Why is budgeting so important as a habit for frugal living? Often we talk about budgets as something that exists in time and space, but not as something that we do. And I like you to think about it as a habit, as something that you do every day. Every day I budget. Make it a verb and an action. Rather than notes on a piece of paper or on a computer screen or on your phone, make it an activity. I shall now budget. Make it a daily habit. The daily habit involves tracking the expenses that you have already made. It involves planning future expenses, and it involves setting your priorities so that you give every single dollar that you have a job that will work for you. Make sure that budget is a habit. I put this right at the very top of my list here because budgeting has been the hardest habit for me to learn. And if that is true for you, I want you to know that you are not alone. I spent most of my adult life trying different ways to budget and genuinely not understanding how money works. I had no clue how the money that I earned, the money that I spent, and the things that I had any connection to each other. I just couldn't make that mental connection. I am such a literal thinker that I almost think I should have been born into a bartering society where I give you a sack of potatoes and in exchange you give me a sack of flour. That's how my brain works. And so understanding how to think about money and how it worked in my life, it's been a lifelong journey. And it's really been just over the last 5 years that I've committed to budgeting. And as I commit to budgeting, and I don't understand it, and I commit to budgeting, and I'm confused, and I commit to budgeting, and I fail, and I commit to budgeting, and I learn. Now, 5 years later, after all of that stumbling, I have a pretty good idea how much money I have right now. I have a pretty good idea what my expenses have been. I have a pretty good idea what I'm planning to spend coming up. And I have an even better idea what my priorities are going forward. It's taken 5 years of really hard work, and I encourage you to make it a habit so that when you get confused, when you get lost, when you fail, when you have to start over, you know it's a habit. It's not a one and done thing, and you know you can come back and try again tomorrow. So make sure that budgeting is one of your top frugal living habits. Habit number 2. Look for a non-buying solution to any problem that you have. Now, sometimes you must buy things. We live in a world that is material, and we must obtain material goods in order to survive. But I'm talking about, in general, the next purchase that you need to make. Think to yourself before you make it, is there a non-buying solution? Here's an example from my own life. My next paycheck comes around in another week and a half. Between now and then, I have X number of dollars that I can spend on groceries. After that, I don't have any money to spend unless I dip into another budget category, which I am not willing to do. Now, I would really also rather not spend everything that I have left in my groceries category, just because I'm that kind of girl. I want to save up a little bit for the next go round. So my question to myself is, what do I have in my pantry? What do I have in my refrigerator? What do I have in my freezer that can get me through the next 10 days without my having to shop at all? As it turns out, I'm in pretty good shape. I have a couple of things that I want to go to the store and get, and I should be able to make it to the next paycheck without going over my groceries budget and also without using it up. And the reason is because I know what I have and I am planning a non-buying solution. What do you have that you can use so that you can delay purchasing things and you don't end up going, wait, I didn't know I had that back in the back of my cabinet. I could have used that and I got another one. It's not the end of the world, but look for a non-buying solution whenever you're making a purchasing decision. however big or however small. Number 3 and number 4 both come out of number 2. Number 2 says look for a non-buying solution. Number 3 asks you to declutter. I talk about this almost as much as I talk about budgeting because I love minimalist living just as much as I love frugal living, and I believe the two go hand in hand. If you don't know what you have, you don't know what you can use. You cannot come up with a non-buying solution if you don't know what you have in your house. Consider it your factory inventory. What resources do you have? One of my favorite frugal friends talks about every single thing that comes into her house. She looks at it as a resource and she asks herself, how can she use it again? How can she repurpose it? How can she change it up? And so all of the packaging that comes with online orders gets reused as trash bags or as containers for something. Not because she's also hoarding things, but because she doesn't need to go out and buy the thing because she has it. That's a bag. That'll work for trash. I don't need to go buy more trash bags. You need to look at everything in your house in the same way. And if there is too much to evaluate, guess what? You need to declutter. I want you to stick around here because on this channel, I'm going to be doing a special video just about decluttering. I haven't done one entirely about decluttering in a long time, and it's coming up here in a few videos. You need to stick around because I have so much to tell you about decluttering. You are not going to want to miss it. And by the way, if you're new here, I am so glad you're here. I hope that you will subscribe to this channel. I give you lots of tips and tools every single week. And give this video a like if you like this kind of content, and share it with your friends. And then the last thing I want you to do is hit that notification bell so you'll get notified first of new videos. I am so glad you're here, wherever you came from and however long you've been here. Now let's get right back to our habits. Remember that habit number 2 is look for a non-buying solution. And habit number 3 coming out of that is declutter. In other words, look and see what you have, get rid of the junk, and use the resources you have. And then number 4 is stock up wisely. Stock up wisely means that most of us live in a situation, at least in the world right now, where we need more things than we used to. Some people are still trying to get rid of stuff. If that's you, you keep going with the decluttering. Some of us had decluttered to such an extent that we had to restock when the pandemic hit. And I have discovered a sense of comfort now with having about 40 pounds of flour in my freezer. That's just me. I love to bake. I love to make all kinds of bread. The holidays are coming up. I'm already planning how many Christmas breads I'm going to make. 40 pounds of flour in my freezer, that's good. I have stocked up on that 40 pounds of flour over the last 6 months, very gradually. And when I say stock up wisely, that's what I mean. I don't mean to go out and panic buy 40 pounds of flour. I didn't do that, and you shouldn't either. But I do mean, look at the things that you actually need to stock up on so that you can be prepared if you can't leave the house for a couple of weeks. That might happen at any time. And make sure that you are set, not with too much, not with too little, but just right. How do you make that list? Sit down and think about what would it take to get you through 2 weeks. Everything from your laundry detergent to your toilet paper, yes, to your canned goods, to your freezer goods, and think, could I make it? And if you can, you're in good shape. If not, stocking up wisely means that every time you go to the store, you add one more can of something. You add one more bag of something. It doesn't mean you go out and buy $100 or $200 or $300 or $400 worth of stuff. No, no, no. It means a little bit at a time. Buy one for now and one for later. Stock up wisely. Number 5 is another one of my favorites. In fact, this whole video is kind of like my top 7 hits for frugal living habits. I just love all of these. And number 5, I bet you can predict it, it's cook at home. You've gone to all the trouble of looking for a non-buying solution. You have checked your budget. You have decluttered. You have stocked up wisely. What are you going to do next? Well, it's time for dinner. You've got something you can fix. Go ahead and fix it. I'm not suggesting that every one of us needs to act like we work for America's Test Kitchen or the Great British Bake Off and make fancy food all the time. Some people love that. Some people just want to get dinner on the table. Either way is fine. But if you cook at home and eat at home, a couple of things happen. One is You improve your budget. See number 1 above. You improve the state of your finances, because in order to cook at home, you have to have stocked up. In order to stock up, you have to have planned. In order to have planned, you have to have consulted your budget. So all of these things work together, and you end up cooking, and one meal represents a whole mindset, a whole philosophy of taking care of yourself, of taking care of your family with the resources that you have before you. There's so many ways to cook these days, so many ingredients, so many possibilities, and you just may want to get the simplest thing done. That's fine. You go for it. You may also want to be super fancy. In that case, you probably have to budget a little bit more for food. But cooking at home is a wonderful habit that you can develop that will really supercharge your frugal living journey. Habit number 6 is all about your hobbies and your entertainment. And you know what I have to say to you? You need a hobby, you need some entertainment, and where possible, make sure that your hobbies and your entertainment produce and contribute instead of just consuming. Now, I love a good Netflix binge watch like the next girl, and I am addicted to Acorn TV. I will admit it. I love Murdoch mysteries. So I am all about enjoying entertainment just as enjoyment. But I love the mindset of having our hobbies and our entertainment be productive rather than consuming. Now, again, this is a balance. We all need to just take some time off and not worry about producing something. But what if you could make a beautiful work of art which was going to hang on your wall instead of going out and buying it? You're developing a new skill, a new hobby, and your home is more beautiful as a result. In my case, I talked to you about having 40 pounds of flour in my freezer. Well, this came about because I wanted a hobby and I wanted to learn to bake bread, because my grandmother used to bake bread, and I tried to learn from her because she used to win prizes at the county fair for baking bread, and I never understood what she was doing. She was so good at it that it was really hard for her to teach me, and I probably should have just hung around with her a lot longer to learn, and I always regretted that I didn't do that. And so I started reading and watching videos and learning how to bake bread, and over the last year I have baked so many loaves of bread and brought so much joy and so much frugal living to our house. And now I have a sourdough starter in my fridge waiting for me at any time, and I'm planning all kinds of wonderful things. I wish I could, for each one of you, bake you a special loaf of Christmas bread this year. It can't happen because there are so many of you. Thank you for being here, and I can't bake that many loaves of bread. But I'd love to, because I love to contribute. It's a hobby. It's not something I have to do. I could go to the store and buy wonderful breads, but I love to bake them. It's a hobby that feeds my family and that contributes a lot of joy to our household. And I'm willing to bet that you have something like that in your life too. Something that is a hobby that you could really expand and champion and celebrate and get a whole lot more joy out of, and recognize that it contributes to your frugal living journey. 7th, but certainly not least, is taking care of your health and your fitness. Now, this has to do with a wide variety of things. How much rest do you get every night? How much water do you drink? What is your diet? And is it the most healthful diet for you? How much exercise are you getting? How much activity are you doing? What is your overall health situation? When is the last time you had it checked out by a doctor? Are you on any medications that you've conveniently forgotten to take recently that you need to pick back up? How is your health? And just like it may take a long time to really understand budgeting, it's a lifelong journey to understand our health and to understand how to optimize our health. Throughout our lifespan, we are in all different states of health. Some of you are very healthy and fit, and you are listening to this video instead of watching it while you're running. Others of you have difficulty getting out of a chair. Others of you are ill, acutely ill right now as you are watching this. We are all in different situations. And I would urge you to make the best and make the most of the health that you have, and do everything in your power to optimize your health and your fitness with the resources that you have available to you. And that involves just the basics of eating, sleeping, drinking water, taking care of your exercise needs, and then reaching out for medical help, as many of us over 50 really need to be doing. Sometimes this is a sad subject for those of us over 50 because we are watching our health decline. We're watching our levels of fitness decline, our levels of stiffness increase, our ability to sleep well decrease, and all those years of living are catching up to us. But I would urge us to remember that we still have a lot of life left in us. And I would urge us to take care of our bodies, take care of our minds, take care of our spirits, take care of our health, because we deserve it. We have a great contribution to make to the world. Your voice counts. The world needs you in it. And so please take care of your health, and I'll take care of mine too. Now, I didn't tell you this, but I have a bonus habit for you, and the habit is to cultivate peace of mind. Peace of mind is sort of a nebulous concept until you start to break down what it means. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It's not the absence of chaos. It's the ability to just take a deep breath and know that you are okay. Peace of mind means that we are able to feel peace in our thoughts. We don't live in a world where that's easy right now. And so when I say cultivate peace of mind, I'm using that word cultivate as you would think of a garden or a field or anything that you're growing. It takes time. And you don't expect to plant just one peaceful thought and have it pop up as a full-blown oak tree tomorrow or in the next 5 minutes. It's a lifelong pursuit. And I would urge you to join me in pursuing peace of mind as a frugal living habit. And I have a quote for you that relates to this concept of peace of mind. It's a quote that I've shared with you before, and I love it so much, I just can't wait to share it as often as I can. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." I like to think of simplicity as encompassing all of the 7 habits plus the bonus habit of peace of mind. We don't generally associate the legacy of Leonardo da Vinci with simplicity, do we? We associate it with just this huge variety of creative and scientific projects. And so for somebody with that mind to say to us that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, I think we need to sit up and take notice. And I also want you to sit up and take notice of these 7 habits. I've talked about them here before. I've shared them with you today, and I know that you'll hear them from me again. Wherever you are on your frugal living journey, I want you to know that you are not alone. Take the next step. Start the next habit. You can do it. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to see you again very soon. Bye-bye.